Welcome to the latest episode of the Motorvait Supplier Showcase. I'm Neil Smith, CEO of Motorvait Automotive Consultancy, and in this series, I'm sitting down with the innovators behind the UK's most exciting automotive businesses, whether they're game-changing startups, industry disruptors, or established legends. We'll be diving into the latest digital and physical products currently shaking up the UK vehicle retail space. If it's making waves, we'll be covering it. My guest today is Conor Moran, founder of Eskimo Software, a business that provides a streamlined, all-in-one lead management system designed specifically for automotive dealers. Welcome, Conor, and thanks for being my guest on the latest episode of the Supplier Showcase podcast.
Thanks, Neil. Delighted to be here.
Now, I've known you for over a year now. I know time flies, Conor. When we worked closely putting together the car buying project last year, which I headed up for a used car supermarket, and as a result, got to know you and Eskimo quite well. To enable our viewers to get to know you a little better, a regular feature of this podcast series is the guest icebreaker. So, please tell us 3 interesting facts about yourself, 2 of which are true and 1 that isn't. We'll then let the viewers ponder this during the podcast, and I'll ask you to reveal which are true and which is false at the end.
You realise how uninteresting your life is, Neil, once you start trying to think of 2 true, interesting facts. But I have 3 here for you anyway. So the first one is that in a previous life as a younger man, I was a very keen gymnast. So I pranced around in leotards for a lot in my other days. I also have a degree in civil engineering, which is not relating to anything today. And I'm also a scratch golfer.
Right.
2 are true and 1 is not true there. Yeah.
Okay, so not sure how civil engineering and leotards go together, but we'll find out later if that's the case.
Yeah, if they do, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so look, thanks for that. As I say, at the end, we'll reveal the true facts and the 1 false. So let's learn a little bit more about Conor Moran. So tell me about you, your background, and how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, so my background is in software engineering, really. So I've, in a previous life worked as a software engineer writing code, and then got into the automotive space by speaking with, just by chance really more than anything else, speaking with dealers that said there was a gap in the market for a better CRM solution for their particular needs, and their main complaints were there's just no system out there that was adaptive to their needs, and also it was a constant battle for them to get their sales guys and sales gals to use the system that was in place. So what I did was I basically had a few cups of coffee with dealers here in Ireland, as you might have guessed, I'm based in Ireland. A few cups of coffees with dealers around Ireland, and just got their pain points down on paper. Then realised that there was something in this, so went away to build it. At the very start, it was just me in the company. So I got building prototypes and everything else. And the thing about our software, I suppose, is that I've never sold a car in my life, which on paper might look like a minus, a negative for us, but it's actually a positive, because our company now, it's not just me, but at the start I made no assumptions about what the customer needed and what the dealership needed. So just had to sit down, really pick people's brains, and built the CRM software from the ground up. So sorry, back to the story so far. So so basically would have done that while I worked my day job as a software engineer, and then got to a certain point where we were ready to test in a dealership here in Ireland. Got it to a testing phase, quit my job, took it on full time. We're a bootstrap company, so the first few years were pretty hairy there, getting the rent paid on time and stuff like that. But got through those years, and now we have, we've 12 employees, and we're growing all the time in a number of different countries. There's a lot that happened in between there, but I don't need to go through every step. But yeah, now we're based we've customers in Ireland, the UK, and the Middle East. So it really has grown strength from strength. And basically our mantra with the mantra since day one, and it had to be since day one, is really listen to the customer. We don't have people coming in saying, okay, we need this return or whatever like this. Like obviously we're profit focused, and we're self-funded, so our focus is to make sure that we have money in the bank to fulfill our goals. But we haven't got someone there dictating where we should go, except for the customer. What the customer needs is we do our best to get it in there. I think that's our competitive edge amongst other providers, is that we really have the time and the freedom to listen and adapt to customers' needs, I suppose, is the big thing that we have.
And look, I think it's interesting that, you stated at the beginning there that you've come from a non-automotive background.
Yeah.
So you've got a clear lens on what you're trying to do. I think
Yeah.
if you come from an automotive background, clearly the experience can help, but sometimes you're sort of stuck down a particular route, maybe in terms of looking at what's gone before and working to those sort of strict guidelines, I suppose. So it's interesting you sort of took a view on an industry that you didn't have a real idea of how it operated. So you just went out and listened. So interesting as well. How did you get involved in the Middle East?
And we were working with, so we do a good bit of work with Impel, actually, who
Okay.
I know you had James Lease on last week, I think it was, from Impel, and they're a really, really, really good company to work with on the AI front. But so we had, so those guys were doing a bit of work in the Middle East, and they put us in touch with some people that they know, and we now have resellers in the Middle East. So now we have
Okay.
Census UAE in the Middle East reselling our product and providing first line support and stuff like that. So it's going really well. It's a challenging market, like it's to get the
Yeah.
name out there and everything else, but it's going really well so far. So that's kind of how it came about. It's kind of a lot of our story is kind of looking after customers and partners, like that project I had with you before, looking after customers and partners. Look at us here now. We're speaking after a year working together, and things lead to each other. Obviously, we have strategy, but if we do A right, it will often lead to B and C, which would be positive as well. Now, it doesn't always work that way, but that's our mantra.
No, and look, I can attest to that from the time we spent working on that project. And clearly, there are elements to the software that, initially we weren't using, and then it was introduced to us, and we started to adapt that and adopt that, and clearly that product embedded with that sort of ecosystem, which included Impel and a couple of other service providers and product providers, really started to work well at that point. So really good relationship that we built up there. I think it would probably be good to understand now sort of some of the standout services that the Eskimo software product offers
Yeah.
in terms of what dealers can expect from it.
Yeah. So basically, our system is it's a lead management system, right? So it's that most of your listeners or viewers will know what that is. But it's a lead management system that's built from the ground up. So the majority of software providers in the lead management space now are built what we would describe as from the top down. Okay, so you start with the report that we need from the top, and by the time you get down to the poor devil using the software at the end of it, it's a nightmare to use. That's just our opinion. Of course, our competitors would probably say different and say the same about us. But that's why we see it. But we designed it from the bottom up. So we made sure that the system was usable and user friendly and had all the tools to help the salesperson convert that lead to a sale. And then, of course, then we build on that. And we have all the same more reporting with data in there. But basically, we'll take in all online leads into the software. That can be from all the usual providers like AutoTrader and CarGurus and website, Facebook lead ads, WhatsApp for business integrations. We have Facebook integration and Instagram integration, all at Google AdWords. And what that does is all those leads are being fed into one place, right? And your listeners will probably be familiar with this, but what we do is our umbrella is wider than anyone else, really. And what that gives you is the ability to track and check your return on investment from all these providers, not only on your different providers like AutoTrader and CarGurus and your website, but down to the lead ad campaigns that you're running on Facebook or on Google AdWords. And because your website is a standard cost, right? You're going to be paying the same every month, give or take, but it's your marketing campaigns that are going to be your variable costs. So that's what we need to track. Not only so we track the lead into the software, as well as your walk-ins. Okay, so your walk-ins and the beauty of our software as well is that if someone makes an inquiry on your Google AdWords or on AutoTrader, and then they walk in through the doors of your showroom. What we don't want is a double entry of that customer for three reasons, really. First of all, you have two salespeople possibly dealing with the customer. Customer's probably getting bombarded, but also tracking if they buy a car, we want to know where they came from. They didn't just walk in; they came from Google AdWords or they came from AutoTrader or whatever it's going to be. So we get a true picture of what's driving the leads into the business. So you have your leads and your walk-ins coming into the dealership. Then you have the car being sold to the customer, and of course there's a what we call post-sale workflow after that, so communication workflows to the customer, and then all the bits in between. We've deal sheets, and we have WhatsApp communication. We've an Eskimo mobile app for communicating for quick response. We integrate with If possible, we integrate with the landline phone system in the dealership, so all inbound and outbound phone transcripts are on the system, and we really just give the dealership, give the salespeople and the sales managers and marketing managers within the business every tool possible to convert that into a sale. And a big part of what we do now is our integrations. Like you'll know better than me, Neil, that every dealership has, I don't know, 7 or 8, like more systems, but 7 or 8 function systems that they rely on a day-to-day basis. So what we're trying to do is integrate with, and we're doing pretty successful at it now, but integrate with as many systems as possible so that we can be that glue that ties it all together and everything acts as one ecosystem. Like we're honest enough with ourselves to know that Impel are better at sales AI, and someone else is better at customer videos, but we'll integrate and we make sure that's all tracked and it acts as one ecosystem. So that's a big part of our business as well.
Yeah, and look, I think that's very valuable. The attribution piece is something that dealers have struggled with for years in terms of that, connecting the dots between the showroom visit, the online activity. And look, most of the time when I'm working with dealers, I have to go deep in the weeds and dig out this data and then put it into a spreadsheet and do a pivot table and say, right, okay, you may have had 1,000 leads, but that was actually 450 individual customers, what I call individual customer opportunities. So whether you've had 1,000 leads or not, you're still only ever going to sell a maximum of 450 cars, right? You're not going to do that because conversion rates sit at around 25% from that. So to be able to have a system that enables me as a dealer to go in and say, right, top level, 1,000 leads, 450 opportunities to sell a car. We sold 125. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, massively, and it's what we did in Imperial, because the budget I was spending there was huge. I needed that return on investment. I needed to understand. And back in the day, I knew that an Auto Trader lead would cost me 2.5 times a Google AdWords lead, but I'd convert it 2.5 to 3 times quicker and better. So there was a place for both channels because I needed to generate volume, but I could sanity check across them and think, right, I'm spending the right amount on Auto Trader to generate really good quality committed leads, and I'm spending less on Google, but I'm generating volume, and I know what to expect. And I think that's something that I see certainly in the dealers I deal with, and a lot of those dealers are maybe the 100 to 200 car dealers. They are working across multiple systems, and when I ask those questions, they don't have the answers.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for dealers with so many systems. I totally get it as well. And it's hard to make a decision when there's so many systems bouncing around. And not only so in our system, you can see, okay, this is our lead channel here, and this is our particular specific campaign. This is our spend. This is our cost per lead. So obviously you're going to have a cost per lead, and then this is our return on ad spend. So you can see how much money you're making, because we're not just looking at leads and we're not just looking at orders. We're taking it all the way through the journey, which is important, because how many inquiries? So what we notice in some instances, like a Facebook lead form will generate a ton of inquiries, but depending on the lead form, the intent is so low in the form, they might not be the best leads. So it might create a false picture in a marketing report, but really, as you know better than anyone else, the sales don't lie. The numbers, the return on ad spend is the figure to know where to spend money.
And you're in a place then where it's vanity over sanity. We're generating 10,000 leads from Facebook. Well, you're not, because 9,500 of those are just never ever going to go anywhere. And what you're doing also at that point is you're tying your sales team up, being busy fools, because they're trying to deal with these leads, and they're trying to action those leads, and they're trying to contact those potential customers, which 9,500 of those 10 may have just clicked on it because it said click here, So I think that we all know, I think we all know in the industry the return on investment needs to be trackable. That final acquisition piece has always been difficult. So I think what you're offering dealers are certainly at the level that maybe they wouldn't expect to get access to that sort of level of data and attribution. That will or can definitely help a dealer make sure they're doing the best with their marketing budget.
Yeah, especially in the Google AdWords with UDM tags and stuff like that, we can do really in-depth tracking on that. And we've also built, sorry, I might be going off topic a bit, Neil, but what we've also built is business intelligence endpoints, because we've noticed that a trend towards dealers using business intelligence dashboards like Lookers and or whatever that one is. I forget the names now, but we have business intelligence endpoints that lets the dealer hook that business intelligence dashboard up to our system and pull it out and collate it with whatever other data they need to collate it with. And that gives them a really good picture. So the hardest part is getting the data, the solid data into the system. And once you can pull it out in a logical manner, then you can kind of make
Yeah, and that's. I mean,
basic.
we used QuickSight back in the day, which is the Amazon platform for that big data piece and pulling 4 or 5 different streams of data in. And again, I suppose for me, I'll talk to dealers about this. And a dealer that's stocking 100, 200 cars, they're good at selling cars, right? That's what they've done for the past 20 years. Some of them owner drivers of businesses, 30 years. You start to talk to them about data, and it's difficult. These guys they're not software engineers, they're not data
Yeah, yeah.
analysts.
In as much as I'm not a car salesperson, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's the
yeah.
exact same thing, yeah.
So they're I'm saying you need this, that, and the other. And it's, well, where do I get that? How do I do it? It's all very well. They're used to having a off the shelf website platform that does a great job as a shop window, but actually behind the scenes doesn't really deliver a lot in terms of analytics. Might have a really good DMS, but again, the CRM might not be that great. And I suppose the other part you mentioned a little bit earlier about, understanding what a salesman does and how well they operate and their conversion metrics and those sort of things. And, for me, it's being able to drill down into that and start to say, well, okay, Dave, you're doing a great job. Rob, we need to work on some stuff with you because your conversion is not where it needs to be. And that might be a training issue. It might be a experience issue, So being able to call that out and optimizing performance. And, again, I bang on about this all the time, making sure we're not losing opportunities to get to the point of a sale, So I
But
suppose
also to that point, Neil, it's very important to that point, kind of to what you were previously saying, like salespeople in car dealerships, they're good at selling cars. They're good with people. They're good with cars. They might not be the best at systems. Some are brilliant at systems, but they might not be. That's not, probably more often than it's not their skill set. So it's a system, and we notice that a lot of systems there get in the way of the sale. Like the sales is hard enough. I do it myself. It's hard enough without trying to clickety clack, putting in all sorts of details into a system. So ours is quick punch, get the details up there, continue with the sales process. When you're ready, sit the customer down, continue with the sales process there and then. And that way, your sales manager has a really clear view of what's happening with that particular deal and all deals, as do you as a salesperson. You're not nothing falling through the cracks. Communication is easy. And I'm briefly mentioning, when we hook in with the phone system on site, the system sings because you have online leads, you have walk-in leads, and you have phone leads. And most customers who buy a car would probably hit all 3 of them realistically. Like all those 3 touch points. And to your point, most recent point, the quality control can really be extenuated there because you can see the journey with the customer. Okay, let's just listen to this phone call. How did you close this off? Whatever the situation drives, the data is there to monitor it. Yeah.
Okay. And I think probably the final bit around the software piece was the lead nurturing piece, because again, that's an area where, we, even in our organization back in Imperial, where we had 17 sites and we built our own tech to be able to monitor and manage all of that lead generation. It came into a contact center. So we were fixed on SLAs of 15-minute response times on inbound inquiries. 3 rings to pick up the phone, all that sort of thing. But what we needed to do really, I suppose, at the end of that process was that allowed us to understand how efficient we were. And also we had a very good forward contact plan. So, if the customer rang or if the customer emailed in the morning, we'd ring them in the morning. If we couldn't get through to them in the morning, we'd ring in the afternoon. If we couldn't get through in the afternoon, we ring the next day. We ring the day after that. Then we might ring 7 days down the road. So I suppose where I've seen that move over the last 5 years is clearly we've got a lot of systems now, or potential systems, offering that lead nurturing piece. So we know that, as you said just a minute ago, salespeople are great at dealing with people, building rapport, face to face, getting those customers bums on seats, test drive, selling cars, right? And we've got the whole remote piece, which we clearly are still working through at the moment, and click and collect and all that. But it's that they are busy people sometimes, salespeople, and they might have a target of 30 cars a month to sell. So they will go for the low-hanging fruit a lot of the time. An Auto Trader lead comes in, and I've seen it, and because it's Auto Trader and it's a committed lead, usually because the customer's done their research, they'll navigate to that, and they might leave a Google AdWords lead because it's like, well, that's going to take longer, Still a valid lead. Yes, it will take longer, which is where this automated lead nurturing sort of kicks in, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. So through our system, based on where the customer is in the journey, certain correspondence can go out to the customer. So, okay, the first contact's attempted. We can automate a correspondence out to that customer, maybe that evening or the next day, or whatever the situation is. Based on the situation, basically, you can send a WhatsApp, an SMS message, or an email to the customer. And also, automatic reminders will be triggered for the salesperson. Because to your point, if if a customer, an online lead has been followed up on, and someone walks in and they're kicking tires on a car, obviously the person in front of the salesperson is going to get their attention because they're there and then. So it's important to make sure that that online lead that they tried before and they need to kick on gets that follow up and gets that attention, because their money's as good as the person on site. But like, I totally get that. If someone's there in front of you, you're going to look at, or you're going to speak with them. Yeah.
So I suppose just sort of moving forward a little bit and looking at exciting projects, partnerships, or innovations that we can look forward to now and into the future from Eskimo Software. What are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, we actually, straight after this call at 3 p.m., we're going on to an internal call where we're demoing all of our AI projects that we have on at the moment. So we've quite a few bits of AI projects. We're trying to really leverage what we can with the AI, because we've got great data and great framework there to leverage AI to our advantage. So stuff like, we spend a lot of time writing email parsers. So, when emails change, we would have to write them. So AI can really take that, and we've tested that. That's pretty much ready to go. Also, one that's kind of weird, kind of scares me. It's a AI video response tool, which will have, for used cars, it will have the actual car that the customer is looking at in the background and stuff like that, and a person talking to them. And for new cars and for brand, see, we work with a lot of OEMs and brands as well. So that can be quite powerful. We can have stock footage of their new models and everything coming in from there. So we're working on a lot of that. And then that's taken up a lot of our focus. And then we're really building out our OEM dashboards at the moment as well, because, as I said, we work with a lot of franchise OEMs. Build that out. And then in terms of integrations, we're always enhancing our integrations with people like Impel. We're building a new Code Weavers integration that's ready to go live pretty soon, that will allow dealers to apply for finance directly from our platform, which dealers have been crying out for years, and Code Weavers have the ability to allow us to do that now. So that's exciting stuff that's coming down the tracks. And then a lot of phone click to call, transcript, AI sort of stuff coming down the line that I can't say too much about at the moment, but we're kept busy anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Certainly are, Connor, certainly are.
Yeah.
So look, we're nearing the end of our time, Connor. So in conclusion, Eskimo Software offers complete lead generation management and tracking alongside showroom management, all with one powerful, easy to use online tool. With Eskimo, you can increase the speed of lead, prevent lead leakage, and ultimately accelerate your sales journey. So Connor, I've really enjoyed our chat today, and thank you for taking the time to take us through the services that Eskimo Software offers. But before I let you go, we need to clear up the icebreaker for our viewers. So, which of the three interesting facts was in fact false?
Yeah, I'm not a scratch golfer. I can barely hit the ball. So I just picked that out of thin air. So there you go.
Brilliant. Okay, so you did train as a civil engineer then?
Yeah, civil engineer in the past. I worked in Lincoln actually in the UK. So
all right.
I wouldn't know what to do with it now, because it's all left the grey matter now. But yeah, once upon a time.
Brilliant. Well, look, thanks once again, Connor, for your time today. For more information about Eskimo Software, visit the website www.eskimo-software.com or message Connor on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching, and a quick reminder that here at Motorvait, we offer 1 hour remote one-to-one dealer discovery sessions for free. To learn more about these sessions and why you should book one, visit our website www.motorvait.co.uk. Bye for now.
Yep.